This week, I'm here with Ken. Ken has an MG4. What MG4 have you got?
Essence.
The 64 or the
64?
64, there you go. And look, guess what this is doing right now? It's charging, and it's charging from, how big is your solar array?
I've got one array with 10.5 kilowatts and another one with 3, so I've got 13.5 altogether.
So right now, this is being 100% charged from solar energy. And most Australian drivers, or 60% of Australian drivers apparently, charge from solar. There you go. Anyway, Ken and I are going to go for a ride and chat more about his car. There you go. Right, Ken, we're in your fabulous red MG4. What car did you own before this car?
We had a Toyota Camry.
Was it hybrid?
No, 23 years old.
Wow.
Burning up $100 a week in fuel.
Yep.
Costing us $1,000 a year to run the damn thing with maintenance and everything. And
wow.
we thought, there's got to be a better way than this. Being a full-time climate activist, it did seem hypocritical that I'm out telling everybody to cut their energy use, and we were still driving a petrol vehicle around. So Stephen Dew, our great friend and fellow activist from
I interviewed Stephen in his Model X.
Yes. Stephen said, you've got to buy an EV, and would not let it rest.
He's good like that.
He took me out to a Tesla showroom and got me to drive a couple of models of Teslas.
Yeah.
But of course, at that time last year, it wasn't cheap to buy a Tesla.
So when did you buy this?
We put the order down in February this year, and we got it early March.
And you were telling me before that you bought it after, well, you got it around everything electric,
yes,
is that right?
We went to everything electric because the climate movement had a stall there.
Right.
But we went around and looked at all the different cars and did some test driving.
Yeah.
And when we drove this, we thought, that's it. That's the one. So we literally went to the dealer 3 days later and put down a deposit on the car.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was love at first sight. A bit like with my wife. I asked her to marry me 3 weeks after we'd started going out together.
What?
Yeah, that's right.
And how long have you been married? Sorry?
35 years.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
That's right. So I knew what I wanted.
So in terms of being expensive to drive, every month you would have spent roughly what on petrol, and what do you spend now comparatively charging your car in a month? Were you able to kind of...
Look, we're not driving the car quite as much as we were.
Right.
But my estimate is on petrol we're saving about $3,000 a year.
Oh my God.
I know. And
$3,000 a year?
Yeah, I think so. We were look, that's
because you can charge essentially for free?
Well, I don't pay anything. Look, it's not quite true. I had to drive up to Katoomba and back last week.
Yeah.
And I charged it. Normally I wouldn't charge it beyond 80%.
Right.
But I charged it up to 96%. And then when I got back, it was down at 51%. So I used 45% of the battery. But it's a 200 kilometre journey.
Yeah.
And I had to pay for some of to get up to the 96%. I needed to do it the night before I left, so I paid $1.87. I know.
Were you okay?
Up a jolt, I paid $1.87 to get it up to that point. We took a trip to
That's
Canberra,
insane.
and we only used charging at charge points, not from home,
Yep.
just to see how much it was going to cost us.
Right.
And we wound up paying $30.17.
What do you reckon that would have cost you in the Camry?
Oh, God knows, a hell of a lot more than that.
Yeah.
A hell of a lot more than that. So, yeah, we saved a lot of money by doing that. We went out to Bathurst and paid $20 for the same round trip. Did a lot of driving around when we got out there as well. So, yeah, it's basically charging for nothing. It's just completely free because of the solar panels, and I only charge during the day when the sun's out.
Yeah.
But I've got so much solar power that even on a cloudy day like today, where the sun has barely made an appearance, I'm producing way more than I need for both the house and the car.
Wow.
And then when I get the battery coming up, should be next month, then even better.
You could potentially not be buying anything from the grid except paying the daily charge.
Well, I'm already not paying anything for my electricity bill. I'm selling enough, even at very low prices, to cover all my use of grid electricity.
Wow.
But I should be able to make serious money once I get the battery, because I can sell it into the grid at night, and particularly when it's comes at a much better price than 5 cents a kilowatt hour that you get at the moment.
So for anyone in New South Wales, in Australia, the New South Wales government have just brought in a rebate for buying a battery. You can get up to $2,000, I think, off the battery.
$2,000 is what I got on the rebate.
Yeah, wow.
So it's now, if you want to get a top line battery like a Tesla Powerwall, which I'm getting, it's about $1,000 a kilowatt hour. So it's still not cheap. And it would take you at least 10 years to pay off the battery if you were just using it for home use. But if you're setting up as a virtual power plant, it should take half that time to pay off.
Wow.
And the rest is power for nothing.
Yeah.
It's just power for no expense whatsoever.
It's the future. It's the future. Would you ever go back to a petrol car? I think I might know the answer to this, but would you ever do it?
Well, we actually still do have a petrol car. We've got a Yaris. We don't. It's not even at our house.
A tiny petrol car.
It's being used by my son at the moment. So we still have a petrol car, but no, I've driven it twice since I got this car, and it's awful to drive. It is awful.
You really notice the difference.
The driving experience is horrible, absolutely horrible. So I wouldn't go back to a petrol car in a million years.
Right.
We're going to get rid of the Yaris as well, because it's basically sitting around in the garage. It's not being used, or not much, and only for very short, a couple of kilometre journeys or something. Anything that we need to do that's long distance is we use this car. So there's no point really in us having it. So we're going to buy a smaller car, probably second hand, with a smaller battery, something that we can just whiz around the town when we need it, and we'll be able to charge that up as well on the solar
you have
panels.
No anxiety going on longer trips in this? You've used public chargers?
I was full of range anxiety before we bought this. Absolutely full of it. I thought, oh my God, how are we going to do this? What if we get stuck? All the usual stuff. And Stephen just said, Ken, don't think about it. Just go out and buy the car, and you'll very quickly discover that your range anxiety will disappear.
Did it?
Yes. Oh, yes. Well, once we made the trip to Canberra, which we did pretty soon after maybe a month after we bought the car, we had lunch at Mittagong RSL, where there are 6 charge points, including 2 very fast chargers. So we charged up there. We didn't need to, but we charged up there. The motel where we stay in Queanbeyan, it's now put in 4 charge points. Very convenient. You can charge overnight. So you book up.
Is that why you booked that place?
No, we used to go there. They've put in.
Oh.
It was our motel, but they've just put in charge points.
But when you travel now, would you deliberately try and book places that have chargers?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
And so we stayed there. You charge up at night. Yes, it was another MG that just went past. We charged up there at night.
Yep.
And then on the way back, we charged up at the big sheep, big ram in Barrel. in Goulburn.
If you're not from Australia, look up the big ram in Goulburn. It's huge.
And most people don't know, but there are 4 charge points just behind the big ram.
There are, been there, yes.
Yeah, and they're very cheap and very quick. So
is there a pie shop right near there?
That's where I ate.
Okay, it's a good pie shop.
My wife did not have lunch there. I dropped her in the town. She had Chinese, I think, or something, perhaps for lunch.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? If you can go and you go do something else. No one's bladder or stomach can last, doing massive trips. You stop and eat along the way. And why are you doing that? Stretch your legs.
It's honestly not a problem. It's all in people's heads.
I have to say, this car, I do love the MG4 for the driving dynamics. You obviously drove a few cars before you chose one. Was that one of your favourite things about the car, the way it drives?
It is. It's beautiful drive. It just grips the road. There's another MG.
Another MG4, white one.
It just grips the road. Never for a single moment do you think this car is going to come off the road.
Do you reckon that's the rear-wheel drive?
I think it's the rear-wheel drive. It's funny because one of the reviews that I saw said that this doesn't take corners very well at speed.
What?
Well, what a load of absolute rubbish. And I have to tell you that I've taken this up to 140 kilometres an hour. And it just does it effortlessly. Absolutely effortlessly. It's like it doesn't even know that it's doing it.
Yeah.
There's an old saying, I don't know whether it is all that old, that if you buy an EV, get ready to get a speeding ticket. And I know a number of people who have got speeding tickets.
Really?
Yeah. But this is different. You never feel like it's going to take you over the speed limit. I've never felt that in this car.
So we won't get you to be buying the X-Power anytime soon.
No. I thought I'd better put this in sports mode, by the way, just to see how it drove, because it's got the multiple settings. When you go away, you put it in eco mode to get the maximum out of your battery. Around the town, it drives in normal mode, and it defaults back to normal mode whenever you turn it off.
Right.
But sports mode, my God, has that got power? That is, you just rip it. Use up more battery, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic, and we would never ever go back. Never ever go back.
There you go. You've heard it here. So thank you, Ken. That is absolutely brilliant. I love hearing stories about people's cars. I particularly love hearing that people are charging their cars from the sun, because I get trolled on a regular basis about, how do you charge it? Well, you know what? This is how you charge it right here. So thank you, Ken. That's brilliant.
My pleasure.